Are you an entrepreneur, small business owner, or CEO that's struggling with letting go of the reins of control? Or are you struggling with creating positive cash flow? If so, this episode is for you. I have my good friend Jennifer Banks coming on. She is an executive business coach, and she's going to share the 5 steps to turn those processes around so that you can sleep at night. Hey there, you're listening to the Living a Limitless Life podcast. I'm Sharon Hughes, and on this show, we talk about mastering your mindset, growing your faith, and becoming the leader you want to be, with tips, strategies, and interviews to help you create a life you love. I'm really glad you're here. So come on, let's go. On the show today is Jennifer Banks. She's an executive coach, the creator of the Profit with Purpose method, and she helps equip mission-driven entrepreneurs to generate wealth. Welcome to the show, Jennifer.
Thank you, Sharon. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, I'm so thrilled to have you and to hear about your Profit with Purpose course. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so this is my signature coaching program called the Profit with Purpose method. And I specifically created this for business owners who are transitioning out of the startup phase into the established business phase. And what I've noticed from talking to lots of people and talking to colleagues and previous clients and things like that is that people put so much effort and energy into getting their business off the ground. They do a fantastic job of getting it up and running. And then it's like, now what? And that's when a lot of growing pains start happening and a lot of challenges come up. And so my coaching program is based on 3 pillars: profit, process, and people. And it is all about helping young businesses, or even ones that are more established, but really put the right structures in place to thrive profitably for many years to come, and to really set their business up to be flexible, to be really dynamic, really proactive, and not to live in a place of reaction.
That's really valuable. I see that with a lot of companies, even big companies, that they're very reactionary.
Yes.
So let's talk about that for a second.
Sure.
How can we shift our minds so that we're not operating from a place of being reactionary?
Yeah, so I think because this phase is when you're really shifting from doing most of the work to really leading your business and to really stepping into that CEO role. And I think that's really the first mindset shift that has to happen, is to realize that, if I want my business to grow, I can't do this all on my own. And it's time to really start setting up the team, setting up the systems, bringing in people so that I can have more of the pilot role, or more, I can really be that captain, the captain of my ship. And where I am mainly responsible for kind of designing the flow of my business and then course correcting along the way. And that is what will really allow you to be a lot more flexible and proactive, is if you are right there at the helm with that big picture view in mind. And that's what you spend a lot of your time focusing on.
Yes, that is so important. I couldn't agree with you more how much that needs to be in place. Walk us through the steps of what that looks like. I think you have 5 strategic steps.
I do. And these come from five challenges or 5 obstacles that I realized they were very common across the board when looking at businesses who are going through this transition. So the first one is really being able to transform your sales into consistent profitability and positive cash flow. Because you do not want to be in a position of financial struggle. And one of the things that can become really distracting and really, all consuming is when you're constantly thinking, how am I going to pay my bills this month? How am I going to pay my employees? And what money am I going to have left over for myself? And you can just get caught in this kind of financial trap. And there's an old saying that I love that says, sales are vanity, profit is sanity, and cash is reality.
Mm.
And focusing on the cash is really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the first step. And the main tip that I like to give people, there's two tips actually. And the first one is, when you are looking at your finances and you are looking at your profitability, make sure that you are accounting for your salary in
Mm-hmm.
there. Because a lot of people have their businesses set up as LLCs, which is like a
Right.
pass-through system, which you can kind of ignore your own salary and just, your payment is essentially the profits of your business.
Mm-hmm.
But to really know if you have a profitable business is to actually put in a market-based salary for yourself when you're
Mm-hmm.
working out your numbers. And then you want to have at least a 10% net profit margin once that's
Mm.
been accounted for. So that would be my first tip, is really get intimate with your numbers.
Right.
And then the second one is get really good at short-term forecasting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big believer in the 80-20 rule, that you want to spend 20% of your time looking at what's happened in the past and 80% of the time focusing on the future, and the results that you want, over the next few weeks, next few months, whatever timeline makes the most sense for you. And what happens is, a lot of people will put together like an annual plan or budget, which is great. It's a really good starting point, really good to have kind of that destination in mind. But then as the year goes on, you get further and further off track.
Mm-hmm.
And you can actually implement some weekly cash flow forecasting, where you're looking at, like, are there changes in weather that's going to affect my business? And that can
Mm-hmm.
happen with businesses that are seasonal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are there any special events that are coming up? And then how do I kind of adjust my results to get to that destination that I want to be at? And that's part of the course correcting that I was talking about.
Wow. Okay, so they need to get on a call with you, because this is not something that they're going to figure all out just from this episode. This is a lot. And don't you think that people are afraid of being real with their numbers? Like, it's scary.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
They're
And
afraid to know that they're not making a profit, to see
yes.
it right there in red.
Yes, but you can't do anything about it unless you know what you're dealing with. And
True.
there's another phrase I love that says, what gets measured gets mastered. And when you really
Mm.
get intimate with your numbers, when you can really look at the most important metrics in your business, that is going to catapult you to improving your performance and your profitability. But this is one of the challenges of making that shift from the startup phase to the more established company. Is now
Mhm.
you have to start doing things that are going to challenge you, that are going to put you out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Mhm.
But it is like the number one responsibility of the leader, of you as the leader, is being intimate with your numbers, because that's what
Mm.
sets the foundation for everything else.
I like that. Intimate with your numbers.
Mm.
Whew. Okay. What's step 2 in this get
Okay.
real process?
So step number 2 is really looking at how your business model works. And what I mean by that is looking at how you deliver your promise to your customer. So whether that's, your part of your service or your product, and are you doing it in a way that is delivering, excuse me, exceptional value for your customer, but at a cost that makes sense for your business to make a profit.
Mm.
And it's really great to just look at how do all of the activities of your business link together, and then really to hone in on what are those top 1 to 2 activities that the success of my business really hinges on. So what is it that I do or I provide that really sets me apart? And
Right.
then how is my business set up to really serve and support those activities?
So they really need to know what their unique value is in delivering that.
Yes.
What sets them apart?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so what would you say to somebody that is winging it and they're like, "Well, I don't know what sets me apart." Like, how do they dig deep? How do you make somebody dig deep to figure out what sets them apart?
Yeah. So it is really looking at, what is your, and I don't want to look at people are doing, but then also not. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it's a good idea to kind of know about the competition, but then at the same time, I'm also a big believer of ignore everybody else
Mm-hmm.
and you do your creative thing and you follow your gut. And I think first of all, it's really knowing your customers. It is really knowing inside out, what are their pain points? What are their needs? What are their dreams? What are their wants? And it's really knowing your customers inside out, being able to get inside their heads,
Mm-hmm.
and then you delivering a solution that is actually even better than what they might desire.
Mm-hmm.
And just looking at what are, the different aspects of that solution that really stand out.
Right. So they need to be a little Columbo, do some detective work, like go
Yes.
see what the competition is doing and find the gaps where they're
Yes.
not meeting the need, and then come back to the table and say, I can fill that, like, or I'm already filling that. So that would be their unique value proposition right there.
Yes. And
Okay,
it,
I
and it,
love that.
and it can be really helpful to kind of do like a little chart and maybe take
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 companies that do similar things that you do. Look
Mm-hmm.
at, what is their promise? What is their brand voice like? What is
Mm-hmm.
their, like what is their kind of brand personality like, and what really sets them apart? And then you make sure when you are doing your bit that you have things in there that are going to make you stand out and make you different from those other people who also play in your industry. And that's actually a really fun exercise to do, especially when you don't go into it with your competitive hat on, because that comes from a
Mm-hmm.
place of lack and scarcity and fear. And
Right.
I think it's really, especially as far as mindset is concerned, and a lot of what you love sharing, it's about putting that creative hat on when you do this.
Mm-hmm. I love that because I think if we can take the emotion out of it and the fear and be really objective and go, okay, this is what brand A is doing and brand B is doing, and I'm brand C, and I can do it better.
Yeah.
I can
And
do it
get
better. I can fill the gap. Yeah,
Yes,
I
yes,
love that.
definitely.
I really love that.
And being
Okay.
really clear on who it is that you serve, because you also
Yes.
might serve a certain segment,
Hmm.
of those customers, and that's something else that will really set you apart. Like maybe there's a certain subset of people that these brands aren't reaching, that you can
Hmm.
then go in and you can fill that gap.
I have to say on a side note to that, that is so important to know who your customer is. You may know that I had been holding entrepreneurial events, Launch Your Creativity, for
Yes.
the last 8 years. And the first 7 years of that, it was women that were my demographic. They were, a little older, transitioning into empty nest. Kids are much more independent, leaving, going off to college, marrying, and going, okay, now it's my time. I'm going to start
Mm,
over.
yes.
But I pivoted in my coaching and even with my events to start speaking about matters of the heart. And I was very surprised to see that my demographic was not that woman,
Mm,
even though so many women my age struggle with their identity and their purpose because their role as a mom has changed, or maybe they're even going into retirement because we're in the 50s category. My demographic is women that are my daughter's age, late 20s into late 30s, that are looking for a mentor to make sense of what's going on in their life.
wow.
And
Yeah.
that surprised the heck out of me.
Yes.
And I had a conversation the other night. Of all things, I was at Ulta at the makeup bar getting color matched. And I was telling the gal that was color matching me what I do. And I told her just what I said to you. And I said, I was so surprised about this because my thought was, where was your mom in all of this? And she said something that was just so deep, hit me so deep. She said, we hid those things from our moms. We needed our
Mm,
aunt to come in and be that sounding board and that mentor to us. And I walked out of there just so shook because that day I had been preparing for a talk where I had put a slide in saying, I'm here to be your aunt and tell you all the things. And I was like, if that wasn't God telling me you are on the right path. I don't know what is.
Wow. I've just
Yeah.
gotten chills.
Did
I've
you?
literally just gotten chills. Yes.
Well, I
Oh,
know so
that's
many people
amazing.
listening to the show, they are business owners and they are struggling. And so you just nailing down just these two things we've hit on is so valuable. So, what is number 3? I can't wait.
Okay. Yeah. So number 3 is getting out of what I call the vicious cycle. And the challenge that relates to this is designing your business to revolve around you.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the number one thing that now it's this just happens in the beginning because you
Right.
are doing it all and it is
Mm-hmm.
your baby. And I am not saying that, at the beginning that there's anything wrong with that at all, because you don't have a choice really. But it's just as you start to grow, it is just letting loose of the reins a little bit, and it's being able to really become an essentialist and think
Mm-hmm.
about what is really the most important and where do I really need to focus my time, and what is that long-term vision, and then how do I bring that back, and what do I need to do today that is going to make the biggest difference in getting me there. And that's just about as well just delegating as quickly as you can and getting those things off your plate that you don't have to do,
Mm-hmm.
and even areas of your business where you think, I know I need to be really good at this, but this is not my area of expertise. Like if you're wanting to grow, and maybe just as a quick example, you're looking at advertising, and if that's not your area of expertise, then get someone in who knows a lot more about that than you, who you can outsource things to. So it's just really making that shift in your thinking and letting other people start taking responsibility and start supporting you in that long-term vision.
Okay. Why do you think most people don't do that?
I think I think that goes back to what I was saying about how when it's your baby, it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to let go, and it's hard to
Mm-hmm.
let other people step in. And I think as well, especially if you're someone who started a business and maybe you haven't managed a team before in your professional life, or maybe you come from a totally different field versus a business background. I think some of these skills of really coaching and delegating, these are skills that need to be developed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really a time for you to sit back and think, if I want to get whatever my next level is, what
Mm-hmm.
skills do I need to develop now to get there and to really get that education and really work on yourself?
There's a lot of entrepreneurs that they're control freaks. That's
Yes,
just
there's that
bottom
as well.
line. And
Yes.
they have this mindset that it's so much easier for them to do it themselves than to train someone and hand it off so that they could actually be freed up to work in their area of their zone of
Genius.
genius.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
right. Get in their zone of genius.
Yeah.
And most likely that will also relate to what I talked about before about those top 2 activities that the business, that
Mhm.
business success depends on.
Mhm.
Um, and that actually segues right into my challenge number 4, which
Okay.
is issues with delegating and really bringing your team 100%
Mm.
on board, which is exactly what you just referenced. Because what a lot of people will do, and this is what I call the vicious cycle, is you hand off a task. You give someone something to do because you
Mhm.
know you should, but then they don't know what the result is. They haven't been properly equipped to do the
Mhm.
work, or trained,
Mhm.
or given the right resources, or
Right.
have boundaries around decision making set. And
Mhm.
so they come back to you constantly, interrupting you, looking for answers to questions, solutions to problems, advice, you name it. You end up getting interrupted and frustrated, and then you're like, right, throw my hands up in the air. This is
Mhm.
this is too hard. I'm just going to take back the
Mhm.
work, and I'm just going to do it myself because I'll get it done faster.
Right.
And that's what happens. And it's really understanding that delegating is about giving someone responsibility for an outcome and then empowering them to make decisions.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
like you said, with the control piece, it's learning that people are going to grow and learn by messing up. And to
Right.
some extent, you have to try not to let perfectionism get the best of you, because when those people get really, really good at their jobs and they're actually coming to you with ideas, they're coming to you with solutions, and they're out there
Mhm.
building your business for you,
Mhm.
all of this short-term pain is going to be so worth the long-term gain of making that decision to learn how to delegate properly.
Right. Yeah. So they need to make the investment upfront in training the right person and equipping them and
Yes.
giving them autonomy to make
Yeah.
decisions.
And
Yes.
they will be so much more motivated, and they will enjoy their job so much more.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I know in the past when I have worked in the corporate world, if I felt like I wasn't empowered, um, it kills your creativity and it does kill some of your motivation
Yes.
to be passionate about what you're working on. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. This is good stuff, Jen. Bring us
Okay.
number 5.
Okay. So number 5 is isolation.
Oh, the
And
death.
yes, I think a lot of business owners feel this way because you are at the top of the chain. And
Mhm.
like you just said, when it's totally different from having a corporate job where you have a team, you've got people around you, you have bosses and mentors within your company,
Mhm.
and it's a totally different position and mindset when you are the one who is the leader, and it can be a really lonely place. And I think in that place, if you don't have a good sounding board, you do question. You can have those moments of doubt and question, am I making the right decisions? Am I doing the right thing here?
Mhm.
You kind of feel like everybody's watching you and
Right.
you're kind of on show and everybody's looking up to you. um, you're wondering, are people being honest with me? Is my team telling me the truth about things that are actually going on?
Mm.
I've heard
Mhm.
that as well. And I just think it's so important to really get into community with other business owners and find ways to do that, whether it's through a Facebook group or a local meetup group, or you
Mhm.
find some mastermind partners, other business owners who you can meet up with once a week, and you can go through what you're working on, what your challenges are. You can bounce ideas off each other, you can brainstorm. um, and then trying to find a really good coach or
Mhm.
mentor. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a coach. I'm saying this because I've had coaches and I have
Right.
one now. And it is so valuable to have someone there who is helping you with accountability, who's helping
Mhm.
you to really be your best self and to make the best decisions for
Mhm.
you and your business. Because sometimes when you're so stuck in it's really hard to kind of pull yourself out and see the big picture, and that objective kind of light on your business can just do wonders, and you can become a lot more aware of your blind spots and things that you might be missing.
Mhm.
um, and yeah, it's just really, really helpful.
I love that. Yeah, isolation is the death of the entrepreneur.
Mm,
You need that support. So you just started a brand new Facebook group to offer that support.
I
Tell us
did,
about
yes.
that.
Yes, so it is called the Profit with Purpose, or Profit with Purpose by Jennifer Banks. And that is the Facebook group I've just started. And I will be coming in there to give that support to people, to provide you with free resources and trainings, and to really create that community. And I would love, love, love for you to come and join me, and I can get to know you, and I would love to be able to add value to you and support you. So yeah, it'd be great to have you.
That's awesome. I love it. Profit with Purpose
By Jennifer Banks.
by Jennifer Banks. That is so amazing. So you and I have known each other just a really short time
Yeah.
because we're both in a group called Integris Women, and we were able to meet through that and collaborate a little bit. And we had spoken last week, and one of the things that you had talked about was doing,
Oh,
deciding,
yes.
delegating, and designing. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So I read about, well, I've known about these phases, but I love how Mike McCalla Wix actually describes them and breaks them down in his book, Clockwork. And he talks about how that first phase is the doing, where you're doing everything on your own. And then you move into the second phase of the deciding, which is what I talked about. That's kind of the vicious cycle phase, where you're handing things off, but because you're not properly delegating, you're getting interrupted and it's actually taking up more of your time. And then you move into the delegating phase, where you get really good at hiring the right people, coaching them, training them, having them really take responsibility for the success of the business. And as you get people coming in, taking a lot of that weight off your shoulders and doing a lot more of the doing, then you move into being the designer. And you are really spending the majority of your time designing the flow of your vision, or the flow of your business. So looking at your vision, looking at your goals, and really playing that proactive course corrector role, where you actually have time, by the way, to get intimate with the numbers and to get intimate with the metrics. And you are really spending your time doing a lot of the high level work that's going to help your company really thrive for many years to come, because you're going to be in that proactive driver's seat, not just reacting all the time.
I love that. A little bit ago, you touched a tad bit on shifting the mindset. Let's circle back to that. And really, what kind of mindset does an entrepreneur need to have to really be successful, so that they're truly not being that reactionary person? Is there steps to that to get to that place?
I think it's definitely something that evolves over time. And I think the key thing is taking time to get good at it. And so, like, when you are starting your day, instead of just plunging straight into work, I mean, I have something, if this helps, I have something that I do every morning, and I call it my spiritual workout.
Okay.
And I do a few different things during that time. So I get out my journal. I write down things that would distract me from really focusing in. So anything that I know I need to do urgently that day, or anything I might feel stressed or worried about, get all that on the page. And then I get really deep into gratitude. And then that getting deep into gratitude, what it does is it really just raises your whole your whole energy level, your whole vibration and frequency. And I find that when you can get into that place, then when you go into kind of prayer or meditation or whatever quiet time works for you, those divinely inspired ideas start to come in. And
I like that.
I love that time, because that is really, so when I'm talking about being in that design position, when those ideas come in and I know that they are from a source that is greater than me, I know what I really need to focus on. And it helps me really prioritize. And then I also do a bit of reading every day. So a bit of self-education. And it's just doing that. It's just really getting in that place of being in the right mindset before you start every day, so that when you go into that day, you're not going to be thrown off course by loads of distractions and irritations and frustrations. You're starting your day from a really good place.
Oh, I really like that. Jen, do you set weekly intentions for your business?
I do, yes, and daily ones. Daily, yeah. I'll always set just like a little daily intention as well. But yeah, I find that. Yes, I find that really helpful. And it is a very careful balance of being clear on what you want and where you're going, but at the same time allowing flexibility in how you get there. So it's being clear on the what, but not getting so attached to the how
I like that.
that you start missing opportunities and you start missing things.
Yeah, that is great. Yeah, people do get really attached to the how. And I think it can be somewhat paralyzing.
Yes.
If they're saying, okay, I need to take my business to the next level. I have no idea how to do this.
Yeah.
And they stay stuck.
Yes.
I know a business owner that has needed to address some things. And because there was things going on in her personal life, she was not addressing things the way that she should, but she also wasn't delegating the way that she should. And it caused her to probably be set back like I couldn't even put a number on it. I know that the issue was hanging out there in the wind for 4 years.
Yes.
And when you think of that, what is the potential loss of capital from not addressing something that's really significant in your business, but isn't like monumental?
Yes.
We need to be mindful of things like
Yeah.
that,
And
and
I
we
think, I
need
mean,
to
just
delegate.
to add,
Mhm.
oh,
Because life
yes.
happens, right? I mean, we're moms, we're business owners,
Yes.
things happen. I know I've been sick, my son's been sick. I had to reschedule a lot of interviews, and we need to build into our business for when life throws you a curveball.
Yes, definitely. And absolutely. And the only thing I would add to that as well is that you just have to get used to being uncomfortable and doing things
Mm,
before you're ready. And a
yes,
lot of times you will know that you need to do something, but we'll find excuses to put it off because we'll think, oh, well, I just need this amount of money to come in, or I just need to
right.
get this person first before I do that. And we'll come up with a lot of different excuses for why we shouldn't do something. And I
Hmm.
think the bottom line, when you look at, people who have been successful entrepreneurs, is they've done stuff before they felt ready, and they've just taken the
Yes.
plunge, and they have gotten
Hmm.
used to living a life that was uncomfortable. But
Hmm.
what's amazing is when you do things and it works, or you realize, how much value you've gotten out of it. It's so exciting, and you really feel like you're alive.
Hmm.
And I think that is such a better way to live than just being in fear or just living in autopilot all
Hmm.
the time.
Yeah, and throwing things against the wall to see what
Mm,
sticks. Hmm.
yes.
Let's talk about being really self reflective. Do you have a process that you take your clients through, or that you even implement in your own business for yourself? Like at the end of the week, maybe you review what's happened in the week and what worked and what didn't?
Yes, yes, definitely. So from a coaching perspective, I after all of my or before and after my coaching sessions, I have forms that people fill out, which builds
Hmm.
that reflection
Hmm.
into the process. So
Hmm.
they'll fill out a form before we have a call, letting me know about everything that's happened in the previous week and what they've achieved, what they got done, what they didn't get done, how they felt about the results. And then we
Hmm.
go in and have our call to kind of address the next week and how we need to
Hmm.
course correct.
Hmm.
And then after each session as well, they will fill out. After we've had the call, they'll fill out a post session form, which
Hmm.
then tells me about what they got out of the session, what was really useful, what their
Hmm.
priorities are, how they're going to take responsibility for those,
Nice.
and then how those actions will lead to the results that they want.
I like
So
that.
yeah, so I've built that into my process, and then yes, we do talk about a weekly reflection,
Hmm.
and I do this myself. So at the end of every week, or maybe on a Sunday, just take some quiet time and just really look back over the week at
Hmm.
what went really well, what didn't. How am I on
Hmm.
track with what I want to achieve?
Hmm.
Or even looking at situations that were maybe a bit tense or made me feel a bit anxious. Why was I feeling that way, and what did I
Hmm.
learn? And then how can I bring that learning forward into
Right.
the future?
I like that. I do something similar with my clients, and I call it success journaling.
Oh, I
We
love
touch on
that.
some of those things, but I really like what you're doing, because coming back from a training perspective, if people don't have time to reflect and process the information they've just consumed, the learning transfer doesn't take place. So when
Yes,
you hand them this and they have to sit down and think, what was my takeaway? How can I apply that? You're setting them up for so much more success. That's
ab-
awesome.
yes, absolutely. And it's so funny because there is, the age old phrase that says knowledge is power. And my
Mhm.
coach actually says, and I love this, but she was like, knowledge and action is what is actually
Mhm.
powerful. And
Mhm.
if you're not taking the time to master the knowledge and to put it into action and really implement it appropriately, to be honest, there's no point having the knowledge because it just sits in your brain taking up space. So,
That's perfect.
you need to be implementing what you're learning.
That is perfect. Okay, I love this. So I'm going to post all of your contact information below in the show notes. So if somebody wants to hop on a call with you, you do free strategy calls so they can make sure that, they're in the right place to work with you.
Yeah, yes, exactly. I call them momentum sessions.
Mm-hmm.
They run 45 minutes to an hour, and we go over how these 5 challenges relate to your business specifically.
Mm-hmm.
I can give you a bit more information on why I feel like the focus really needs to be on profitability and not just
Mm-hmm.
sales. And
Mm-hmm.
then we look at those next few steps that are going to be really important for you. And then, we talk about my services and what I offer and and if it's a good fit for us to work together.
That's awesome. I'm going to link
Yeah.
that below as well, because that is so much value. You have brought seriously your A game today. Even if somebody does not get on a call with you, what you've given them to reflect on is going to be so eye-opening and transformational. If they can sit down and do the work and prepare themselves, they need to get on the call though.
I would
Because
love to have
they're,
people on a
they're
call with me. Yes.
seriously, it
Get
makes
on
a
the
world
phone.
of difference
Yeah.
to tell a coach, like, this is what's going on. Where am I missing it? What
Yeah.
am I not seeing? Because we have blind spots, right?
Yeah.
There's just things that we don't know and that we're missing. I
Absolutely.
love that.
And I started my business to be of service because I want to see companies that are doing amazing things and people that are so good at what they do and who have taken the risk and who have jumped off the cliff and put so much into it. I am
Hmm.
doing what I do because I want to see you succeed. And I
Hmm.
want to see you have a business that is bringing you a really abundant life and that's impacting a lot of people.
I love that. I know we had talked about that last week, about your passion to help people succeed and that you really felt that was your calling.
Yes.
How did that come about for you? Were you doing something completely different and you had just an awakening, or?
Well, yeah, kind of. I mean, it started when I was living back in the UK and I was actually pregnant with my second child. And I happened to be at church one evening and I just had this vision and it just came to me like a movie on a movie screen. And there
Wow.
was this bright golden light and there was this crowd of people in front of me. And, I just felt spirit say to me, if you don't step into your calling, these people aren't going to get the help that they need.
Wow.
And that's where it started. I mean, I always knew I wanted to own my own business. And then I've just been on a journey, over the last few years to just figure out exactly what that meant and what I was supposed to do. And I don't have it all figured out, but I figure this is a great place to start. So
Hey, you're
we'll see.
doing
We'll
it
see
and you're
what
not.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're actually doing what you preach. It's like, step into it and don't be worried about the how, because we do
Yes,
learn so much as we go.
definitely.
That's part of
Yes.
the process. And I think even on a higher level, it's that process, it's that journey that creates who we are,
Yes,
which
it
is
does.
truly what the prize is. I love
Absolutely.
that.
And that's another reason why I'm such a believer in people really growing their business is because you will learn so much in the process and you will become a different person in a good way
Hmm.
because of that growth and transformation journey that you go on by learning new things, by stepping out of your comfort zone, by pushing the boundaries. You will just go on such an amazing journey. And I bet things will happen that you would never have anticipated.
This is awesome. I have 2 pages of notes. Oh gosh, Jennifer, it is just so wonderful having you on the show. Thank you so much for clearing your schedule to come on and share so much value.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I absolutely adore you, Sharon, and I love having these conversations with you.
Oh, thank you. So everything's going to be linked below, so you'll be able to find the direct link to join the Profit with Purpose Facebook group that Jen is hosting. Also, if you want to jump on a call, you want to get that momentum session, that's linked below. But as you're listening, just in case to put it in your mind, it's jenniferbanks.com/schedule momentum session. And follow her on Instagram. She's at Jennifer_Banks. And of course, there's an open mic here for you anytime. Come back and share with us.
Thank you so much.
I'm really curious to know, which of those 5 things resonated the strongest with you. Shoot me a message. I'd love to hear from you. And if you found value, please comment, share, or consider leaving a review for my podcast. Jump into the show notes. You'll see all the links to connect with Jennifer and to consult with her. Grab that freebie that she's got. It's so valuable. And as always, my friends, until next time, I wish you every good thing.